All right, and we're back. So welcome to the second episode of Coast to Coast Sales. This again is your very own sales debate cast featuring my good friend out on the West Coast in sunny California, Mr. Josh Roth, and myself over here on the East Side, yours truly, Tom Bokar. So yes, you did hear that correctly. This is our sales debate cast. So as a refresher, or if you're new to us here, this is why we're doing it, right? So we feel that there's so much content that's floating out there right now on LinkedIn and different blogs, videos, wherever you look. It's just in your face, and it's non-situational information that's coming to you, non-informational topics, posts, etc. So for us, we felt that it's our responsibility to get out here and offer situational analysis and tactics that we are currently going through or have in recent past that you could apply today. And we're going to deliver it to you in a friendly debate style. So if you missed our first debate, be sure to go back and check it out. I'm positive you will enjoy what we spoke about. Quite frankly, the audience spoke. I took Josh down pretty handedly. So, you'll probably enjoy that. And Josh, I'm not biased. This is the facts. I'm just saying, this is what the people said. So, so you go back and check it out if you haven't seen it and be the judge for yourself. But what we tackled last time was looking at when you get to a point, do you build a tech stack or do you hire another rep? So to build or to hire is what we took on last time. And like I said, I'm totally unbiased here. The people said I smoked it. So, but Josh, I digress. How do you set your SDR and AE teams up for long-term growth? So Josh, do you want to, dive in a little deeper, set the table for us a bit here?
Perfect. Yes, definitely. So the situation that we're going to be tackling today is how you should set your SDR and BDR team up for long-term personal growth. So taking that a step further, when your SDRs and BDRs are up for promotions, are you sending them through to be an account executive or a BDR team lead, BDM type of role? So on today's episode, Tom is going to be taking on why your department should funnel the reps through to be an account executive. And I am going to take on the topic of why they should stay in sales dev and become more of that team lead or BDM. So Tom, do you want to take us away and give your opening statement? I know you lost last week, so maybe going first off you out.
Yeah, all right. I thought it was a little more age before beauty, but okay. So I'll take it from here, Josh. So as Josh mentioned, listen, when whether you're in the role of an SDR or you're in the role of leadership or a founder of an organization, it's important to understand what are the career paths that lay in front of you. So I think this is an important topic. There's a lot of talk that's going around lately. If you see on LinkedIn, or people are really trying to dive into where does the sales dev team fall? Is it under sales or is it under marketing? What is the career path? How long do you need to stay in these roles, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's a very poignant topic that if you're an SDR, these are things that you should think about for, what success means and what the future can bring for you. And if you're, responsible for revenue at an organization, what is going to set up the most long-term growth, but while at the same time creating long-term growth and sustainable growth for you is going to help with your, employee retention and career developments. So for me, the root of all this stems to career development, because everyone's saying, we need to fix the SDR thing. For me, it does need to be fixed to an extent, and it needs to be fixed from a management style on training and the way that we are developing our talent internally. It is, it's an entry-level sales role. It's to teach you the basis of the first couple steps of the sales process that is, the most difficult to maintain consistency through. So it's a role that's dedicated to that. But it is an entry-level role, right? When I started sales, before there was SDRs, I was an entry-level salesperson. And I didn't say, well, I want to be senior entry level for the rest of my career. No, I wanted to learn the skill sets necessary. I wanted to be the best entry-level salesperson at the time to learn the skill sets that would allow me the opportunity to move into the next role. And that's what the SDR is. It's your farm system. If you're an SDR, you should be saying, how do I move up and get, to the next role with the experience I need, in a timely fashion, so that I can keep taking on more responsibilities and learning additional skill sets and growing as an individual, but as an employee. So for me, it is the farm system. It supports the livelihood of the growth and the engine of your AE team, and really fulfills that nature. But you are teaching people very valuable skills that are transferable into that full cycle role. So if I'm in that position as an individual, I'm looking at it, how do I train up? How do I get up there as quick as possible? If I'm running teams or setting up groups, I'm figuring what is the structure I need to get these people from A to C to L to Z, and how we get you moving full cycle. So I think it's an imperative kind of starting block for people. It will teach you the fundamentals, but not just teaching you the fundamentals, so the skills there. It's getting your endurance up. It's getting your fitness level up, right? So you're used to banging the phone, booking these meetings at a consistent level, because when you move into the full cycle role, you're going to need to do that at an even higher clip, because it's new to you and your conversion ratios are low. So I think it's a career path there. Josh, would love, obviously, to hear your thoughts and takes from the other side of it. So take us away.
I think you make a lot of really, really good points there. I think that one thing that I look at when I'm looking at sales development in 2020 is really the seismic shift that we've seen in sales, even in the last 10-ish years. I mean, when I started my career, a little similar to you, Tom, I was entry level. I was full cycle, so I was handling I was my own prospector. As Amy Bolas says, I'm my own prospector, I'm my own caller. I'm gonna go on my own meetings, I'm my own closer. So I think today's world of sales is a little different in that marketing is going to drive your MQLs, then your sales dev is going to work through quals, and then your disco calls, demos, closing. Every organization is going to operate maybe a little bit uniquely, but overall they're probably going to follow the same kind of path. And I think the biggest pivot that's been made in sales, especially over the last 10 years, is how far we've moved from, maybe 10, 15 years ago, you could pick up a phone, you could Google companies, and you can sell with nothing but a landline. Nowadays, you just can't do that. You're selling with all of these different objectives, and you're trying to help the prospect to start. You're trying to engage with them. The sales cycles are typically a little bit less transactional, a little bit more helpful. So I look at sales development in that I think it's going to become a career, and you're going to start having people that are going to be senior SDRs, team leads, business development managers that are growing in their roles over time, because top of funnel is just as important as bottom of funnel. And if you have a team of account executives that have nothing to close because the top of funnel is focused exclusively on entry-level employees that are still ramping, you're going to have a problem there. So I think in order to keep that pipeline as full as it can possibly be, you're going to have to start promoting people through to be senior BDRs, team leads, BDMs that have that very strong skill set.
So yeah, Josh, and I completely agree with you. When you talk about top of funnel here, right? So I think a couple of things to clarify from this. So I think the sales dev role is extremely important. I think when you look at any sales cycle or sales process that a company is employing at the time, I'm going to be very simple in terms of a sales process as an example case. So you have your opening, right? So that's when you're booking a meeting, let's say. That moves into your needs analysis, your discovery, portion of the call, what have you. Then you move into your demo, your validation, and then the close, right? So when you look at the 4 steps of the sales process, and when I ask this in every training session we do with new hires and bringing people in, what stage do we think is the most important? Inevitably, I'll get 30% that are like, oh, the close, you got to be able to close, right? And then the majority of the others like, that's a trick. It's not the close, it's the discovery. or some are like, it's the demo, right? But in reality, the most important part of the sales process is that first stage, right? Because you can be the best closer in the world, but if you have nothing to close, if the door's not open, there's no reason to close it, right? So the role is extremely important. In my opinion, it is the most important part of the sales process. So it shouldn't be relied upon just inexperienced people or things from that end. But it is one part of the process, right? So to your point of, well, if there's nothing being fed at the top of the funnel, your AEs are sitting there not knowing how to close. But if people start gravitating towards a career in sales development, well, who are going to be the AEs that are around to actually close deals, right? Human nature will lead us to the path of least resistance. Well, is it easier to do a full cycle sales job or to book an appointment? Right? I mean, I think we all could agree, while booking appointments aren't easy, it's easier than managing a sales process, nurturing the opportunity, keeping the cadences, not to generate a lead, just booking a demo, but to keep them hot and keep the momentum flying through, to keep the levels of excitement high, right? So for me, if I'm looking at it, and I'm someone new coming in, well, do I want to build a career where it's going to be easier for me to have success, even if that success is indirectly in some points linked to revenue? Well, yeah, I'm going to go the easier route. I want the participation trophy. I want to do that, right? And that's my fear, is that a lot of people look at that as a safe haven, a place to stay. It's where, ambitions die, and they're not progressing through the path, because we need those people that have gone through the grit, have learned the process, can handle the opening calls, but then can learn the next steps, right? And a lot of companies that will have sales dev do more of the disco part, right? I think, Josh, you mentioned in a previous conversation that there's someone that will qualify, and you have someone do the true qualification, right? The needs analysis part, the discovery call, and then you have someone come in and do the demo and handle the sales process from there. So that's great if that is like the steps. So you go from qualifier to discovery call to full cycle. I think that's the key, though, is that they have to move to full cycle. So when you are an AE, you still need to book your own appointments. You can't just sit back and get fat on the land. Now, you should be spending more of your time closing deals because you've developed those skill sets through the process. But the AEs that are always top of the list in every organization that I've worked for, within, and have any links to, the top ones are the ones that also are out there continuing to book their own meetings. So I think we can't lose sight of the importance of people progressing through from an SDR into the AE aspects, right? Plus, from an individual standpoint, you should have higher earning potentials because you are responsible for quotas directly linked to revenue, and that revenue is helping drive the bottom line of the company, so that we'll have a higher payout, than people in the opening function. It's just it's a fact of business, I think, from that side. It's not to say there aren't career paths within SDRs and sales dev, because there certainly is. And we could dive into those a little deeper, but I think you touched on senior SDR, a team lead, a director role. Absolutely. But the skill set is still limited to that first 25, 30% of the sales process. And that is scary to me if we start building careers around that, because I'm not sure where we start with the AEs. Where do they come from? How do we develop that part if we're only focused on the SDR? So just some, I guess, food for thought.
If you stay in sales dev, right, you go be a team lead, you go be a BDM, what's your next step, right? You have a ceiling, because if you go to be a BDM, you can't go then manage account executives because you don't have closing experience. So where does your career go after sales dev, right? You become a business development manager. Is that it? Like, are you just a career business development manager, or are you going to move back into being an account executive after a BDM? Right? I mean, how does that work? You're going to go to manage people, then you're going to go back into being an individual contributor, then back into people management. I mean, that's a lot of zigzagging, which it feels overly complicated and challenging.
Yeah, and I think if you think about it too, right? Like, if you have, like, a good career path would be, you go from, an SDR whatever levels there are. There could be multiple levels too. You could be an SDR 1 and SDR 2 or a junior, senior, whatever, SDR, BDR, whatever, right? You don't need to go just from SDR to AE. You could do SDR, senior SDR, to a junior BD, right? So maybe lower targets, just, I don't know, there's a level there, right? And then you can move to an AE, right? So junior AE to AE to maybe senior AE. And then at that point, you could determine if you're going to go, well, now am I going to focus on be an enterprise AE and just be that, rainmaker, that lone wolf that just, cares about himself? Or maybe now I'm going to move, if I'm going to move into management, maybe I'm going to start by managing SDRs. Because I have proven that I can do the full sales cycle. I've been handling leads from SDRs and closing them effectively. So I know the outcome. So now I go back to test my management part, running, some of the sales dev group. And then I can graduate from now because I have the full sales cycle skill set at this point, right? So I can do the sales engineering part, the demoing, right? The discovery parts. And I can close, and I can manage a pipeline consistently while doing all these, and also hand over leads from SDRs, which I did that role previously as well, but now I'm handling them in the inbound. So who's better to teach SDRs how to be more effective at their role than someone that has actually gone through the full cycle themselves? I think that's a good part for us to wrap up for today. Hopefully you guys took away some valuable points from here. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear your questions or commentary on this. Yep, absolutely. Drop it in down below. You could reach Josh or I, obviously through LinkedIn. Reach out to us directly, together, whatever it may be. But we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Represent for the East Coast. You could just put TB or Tom, and everyone will know that's a vote in the right direction for the debate here.
I think even I'm voting for TB on this one.
I think we're all together. It's all up. But I think it would also be great to hear if there's topics that you're facing that you'd like us to tackle. We'll keep it anonymous. Or we'll bring you involved. So please feel free to reach out. But appreciate you guys tuning in for this week's Coast to Coast episode 2 on our end, and we look forward to speaking to you soon. So Josh, I'll let you wrap it up for us.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again for coming in, tuning in. Stay tuned for week 3, episode 3 of Coast to Coast. We may have given you a little bit of a hint on what we're doing, but please give us situations that you'd like us to tackle. We definitely want to ensure that we're getting to situations that you may be having, and we try to get these videos up nice and quickly. So maybe even in time for you to be swayed one way or the other. So thanks for tuning in to Coast. See you next week.
Yep.
That have the ability to really focus on the top of funnel, just like they were.
No, I mean, I got to be honest. I think your dog had a good point of barking at an opportune time. I completely agree with her. What's your dog's name again?
Bronson.
Bronson. Is it a girl or a guy?
Guy.
Yeah, it's my boy. I like Bronson.